And welcome back. I am Terry Ann Porter, life coach, TA, with today's Monday Motivation Moment. I have my lavender tea, nice and piping hot, keeping me relaxed and energized at the same time. Is that possible? For me, it is. Oh, I want to tell you, this weekend I had the pleasure of watching the sight and sound stage production of Queen Esther at their Branson Forum. I was blown away by the staging, the acting, the entire event. Afterward, I started reflecting on each character and how they made decisions. We make decisions every day, some consciously, others without even thinking. I want to share with you what I came up with about decision making in this story. Now, if you are not familiar with the story of Esther, you can read, it's in the Bible, it's in the Old Testament. Look for look for the book titled Esther in the Bible. And I've also put a link where you can read it online. Here's a brief summary just to get you thinking about the story itself. Now, King Xerxes, on day 7 of a feast where the wine flowed freely, for he told his servants, give them all the wine they want. Now, on this 7th day, he called for Queen Vashti. He wanted her to appear before this group of men that he was entertaining. He wanted her to appear with her crown so that he could show off her beauty to them. She refused. Now, his counselors advised him to make a decree, and a decree cannot be repealed. The decree was to be that men rule the households and their wives must obey. Oh, and also the queen is banished and her crown removed. The king says, yes, do it. And when he sobers up and he realizes what he did, his counselors decided that now they had to find a new queen. So they were going to gather all the beautiful young virgins, have them trained in the king's harem, and the king would now select his queen from there. The king agrees. A Hebrew girl named Hadassah is brought in. She was raised by her cousin Mordecai after the death of her parents. Now, he advises her not to tell them her heritage or her name because many hated the Jewish people. So instead, her name is Esther. She does this. Esther is selected as queen. A man named Haman, with high desires of power, comes alongside the king and eventually is able to push away all of the other counselors. So the only man that the king listens to is him. Now, he has his own personal agenda, and that is to kill all the Jews. Now, he knows he can't go to the king and say, I want to kill all the Jews, because he lived peacefully with them. So he presented it to the king as there are terrorists who seek to kill you. They don't follow your laws, king. Please, let me put your mind at ease. Let me take care of this. The king says, well, yes, please send out a decree. You take care of this. So Haman sends out a decree in the king's name that on a specific date, all of the people in the kingdom may murder any Jewish person they see. Mordecai gets word to the queen about this. She must speak to the king. Esther asks everyone to pray. She goes before the king and tells him what Haman has ordered. The king commands Haman to die and asks Mordecai to make a decree that the Jews may possess arms and protect themselves. Remember, he cannot repeal his earlier decree. So now there's a new decree saying, okay, that's going to happen. But Jews, you can protect yourself. This is a real quick overview. Please read the entire story in the book of Esther. But what can we learn from this story about decision making? Here is what I came up with. Do not make decisions in an inebriated state. The call for the queen to appear before a drunken group of men is not something that the king would have done had he been sober. The counsel of many is good, but consider where the counsel is rooted. These men were afraid that their wives would stand up to them when they learned what the queen had done. They had ulterior motives in encouraging the king. Number 3, don't make serious decisions in haste. The decree went out immediately. Later, Xerxes realized what he had done. It was too late. He could not undo it. Queen Esther, on the other hand, waited and prayed for 3 days before proceeding. 4, there are consequences to each decision. Standing her ground, Queen Vashti lost her crown. Acting in haste, the king lost his queen. Consider wise counsel. Hadassah knew Mordecai to love the Lord and that he was moral and loving. She knew that she could trust his word. The 6th thing that I found in that story was when someone seeks to counsel you and keeps you away from seeking the counsel of others, beware. Haman wormed his way into the life of Xerxes, keeping others away from him so that he could not hear what was happening in the kingdom or the opinions of others. The only one he listened to was Haman. And the last thing I considered in decision making from this story is do what is right, even if others disagree. Going before the king without being summoned could have cost Esther her life, but she knew she had to approach him. I wonder, what decisions are you facing today? I encourage you to seek godly counsel and consider your choices. Find a new perspective. Explore the possibilities. Consider the pathways opening to you and choose the right one onto which you will proceed. There's so much more to this story. Please be sure to read it. I'm now going to take my tea and go relax for a little bit. And I look forward to seeing you next week.